I thought finding one mysterious door was crazy enough, but we actually found another one. And that's not all we found. We found quite a few other mysterious and intriguing things. Plus, something else extra strange and weird happened as well.
If we don't know what's on the other side of a door, it can be scary or exciting. What do we discover when we open doors of the mind and the heart? Feel yourself in front of a door of your making. Put a new opportunity on the other side of the door. Walk through. Get excited and grateful as you see it show up in your life.
When I first saw this mysterious door with the drone, I was absolutely fascinated. I had never seen one quite like it before, and I immediately wanted to know what was in there, and my imagination ran wild. That other mysterious door that we found raised a bunch of questions, and so does this one. When was it built? What was its purpose? And what's inside? Originally, me and my father were out in this area looking for cool rocks, crystals, and fossils, and we went down an old dirt road to drop me off, and before I even got out of the vehicle, my dad spotted some of the stonework with his eagle eyes. I then looked around on foot for quite a while, and we were surprised to find that there are hundreds, if not 1,000 or more of these rock dams. And I spent many hours looking online, trying to find more information, and I could not find anything at all, other than there were some dams that were reported at a nearby archeological site. I'm not sure if they are the same kind of dams, but hopefully we can investigate that more in person in the future. These are in quite a remote location, and I wonder, who built them and why? There was also this very strange configuration of large rocks in a kind of X shape, which is another perplexing mystery. What was this for? Was this a place for people to sit on the rocks like chairs? Or does it perhaps have a symbolic meaning, sort of like a rock statue? Or maybe it was something else? First time I went back there with my brother John, we had a police vehicle with its lights on stop and wait for a while, right where we had parked, and right when we got back to the car, they left, leaving us wonder what was going on. Then on the next trip, with my brother Robin, right when we got to our main destination, a large plume of smoke appeared appeared pretty close nearby, and more emergency vehicles showed up. It was very strange feeling to have weird stuff like that happen on both of our trips out there, and we still don't know what was going on with either of those cases.
Check dams are rarely mentioned, discussed, or referred to by local archaeologists, and I can't help but wonder why. Because in some places, they are quite prominent structures. In other places, they are very random and hardly noticeable. But in my opinion, they were an important tool for survival. It seems likely they were constructed to control water flow directly linked to horticultural works and being able to succeed in growing life-sustaining crops. Native cultures have been farming the land here in the Verde Valley and Sedona going back at least 4,000 years. As time went on and populations increased, so did the dependence and reliance on the corn, beans, and squash produced along perpetual waterways. Irrigation and water diversion methods were super important. Flash flooding at times caused terrible losses, as numerous locations were prone to these conditions. There are many steep-sided canyons that are characteristic of the local geology, being on the edge of the massive Colorado Plateau. This huge uplift was caused by the Laramide orogeny. Simply put, it was the compression-forced building of the Rocky Mountains some 80 to 50 million years ago. Erosion has been cutting into the Mogollon Rim, creating deep and steep canyons ever since. Huge amounts of rainwater drain into these canyons from all of the surrounding high terrain, including the foothills of Sedona and the Verde Valley. The prehistoric survival of native cultures was made possible because of the abundant water resources found here. However, it still was not an easy task to farm under the conditions of this high desert climate. Success was challenging and variable. Check dams were used in places to mitigate high volume water flow by slowing down velocity at each dam in succession and helping clear sediment from the water. This was most important when it came to dry farming, where rainwater was collected from otherwise dry washes. Most of our rainwater flows down from the mountains into the creeks, finally ending up in the Verde River. I believe this huge complex of check dams that we found were built for this purpose, and also for growing crops on some of the many small terraces that were created in the process. Because when engineered properly, silt and sediment would build up behind the dam, creating a flat terrace that would absorb and hold enough water to successfully grow crops on. This was an ingenious and probably worked well, except under the stress of drought conditions. This same area has been used by ranchers to graze cattle, probably going back to the settlers, which is evident by the remaining old rusty barbed wire fences, along with some of the check dam stonework being wrapped with now rusty wire mesh to protect it from damage and prevent injury to livestock. Whoever built these amazing check dams achieved an enormous and daunting task, Much of the stone had to be carried some distance with much difficulty. Most notably, much of the stonework was performed by highly skilled masons, even by modern standards. I see this as a remarkable achievement, which should be recognized and praised as culturally significant.
I already said it, and my father did as well, but I want to be clear and say again that we don't know who built these stone dams. It's possible that they might be more modern and were built by the CCC or the Forest Service or ranchers. We just don't know. But they do look old and weathered and like they have desert varnish or black lichen on many of them, and the erosion around some of them is quite deep. There are no houses nearby and only a few roads. Plus, some of these go way up into the mountains. Some of the rocks used are also very large, with no obvious trails or roads leading to those areas. If they weren't growing food for survival, why go through all that trouble? I would also say that there's some very significant archaeological sites not too far away. But ultimately, we don't know for sure, and these dams are a mystery. Regardless of who made them, they are impressive and beautiful in my opinion. If you have any ideas or feelings about any of this, please feel free to share. I want to thank everyone who joined me on these excursions. My parents, my brothers, and Daniel. I'll put links at the end to all their pages. I gotta say, I'm continually surprised by how much is out there to find that is fascinating, interesting, and beautiful. Every single adventure reminds me that this world is much bigger and more complex and intricate than I thought it was. On the next episode, we'll actually be going inside the mysterious door to see what's in there. Plus, we found some more really interesting and fascinating stuff as well. So, we'll see you on the next one if you want to come along on another adventure. If you enjoyed this episode, you may also enjoy some of our others. We're developing quite a collection of memorable and unique experiences and videos. Thanks for coming along. Hope to see you again.
Here we go.